In this section, we discuss the limits of sequences and the Newton's method to approximate the roots of an equation f of x is equal to 0. So the basic idea behind Newton's method is that solutions of equations can be found as the limits of sequences. So what we do is we create a sequence of real numbers which converges to the roots of the equation f of x is equal to 0. So we begin with what a sequence and its limits is and its limit is, and then we define the Newton's method. So definition of a sequence. A sequence is a collection of objects which has a one-one correspondence with the set of natural numbers, comma, capital N, or with a subset of n. So it can be a one-one correspondence either with the collection of all natural numbers or with a subset of n. So when it is a one-one correspondence with the set of natural numbers, it is an infinite sequence. Otherwise, it's a finite sequence. So the object can be anything. It can be numbers or something else. But here we deal with only a sequence of or sequences of real numbers only. Usually the terms of a sequence are denoted by a1, a2, etc. And we write the sequence an by sequence an, where it is this an is enclosed in either curly bracket or open bracket. And of course n can be from 1, 2, 3, etc. or n can be from 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. or n can be from -1, -2, etc. It can be from somewhere to either to infinity or to some finite number, depending on whether the sequence is infinite or finite. Then the limit of a sequence. You have an epsilon n definition for the limit of a sequence. A number L is said to be the limit of a sequence an, if for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists a natural number n such that modulus of an minus L less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to n. And we write limit n tends to infinity an equal to L. That is, roughly speaking, when limit n tends to infinity an equal to L, the terms of the sequence gets arbitrarily close to L as n becomes large. Also, this terms of the sequence remain so close to L as n becomes large. That is, when the terms of the sequence goes ahead, that means if you go ahead in the sequence, the terms of the sequence comes closer and closer to the real number n, which means given any epsilon greater than 0, there is always a neighborhood of L within which there are infinitely many terms of the sequence, and moreover there are only finitely many terms of the sequence outside any epsilon neighborhood. So always there exists such a natural number n from which or after which all the terms are within the epsilon neighborhood of L. Okay. Example for a sequence is the sequence 1, 2, 3, etc. is an example for a sequence. It does not converge. So if the sequence does not converge, we say that it diverges. So let us discuss certain examples. Write the first 6 terms of the sequence an equal to n by n plus 1, and n varies from 1 to infinity. So, and also find the limit of sequence an as n tends to infinity. So the first 6 terms are a1, a2, etc. a6 because n from 1 to infinity. So an is n divided by n plus 1. Therefore a1 is 1 by 1 plus 1, n replaced with 1. So 1 over 2. a2 is 2 by 2 plus 1, 2 over 3, etc. a6 is 6 over 7. Another example is, as the second part, you have to find out the limit. So limit n tends to infinity an is equal to limit n tends to infinity n over n plus 1. And you take the highest degree term of the numerator outside and that of the denominator outside. So you'll get n on the numerator is the highest degree term, and in the denominator 2, n is the highest degree term. Taking them outside, n into 1 divided by n into 1 plus 1 over n, and as limit n tends to infinity. Note that these two n's on the numerator and denominator gets cancelled. So limit n tends to infinity 1 over 1 plus 1 by n. And As n tends to infinity, 1 by n is 0. Therefore, 1 by 1 plus 0 equal to 1. So, you repeat the same for another sequence an equal to minus 1 raised to n over n, and an equal to minus 1 raised to n into n divided by n plus 1. So for the first one, you find out a1, a2, etc., a6, and taking the limit as n tends to infinity, it is 0. For the second one, again we have found a1 to a6, and if you choose the limit as n tends to infinity, then it is limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n divided by n plus 1. Again it is minus 1 raised to n divided by 1 plus 1 by n, and as n tends to infinity, because you choose the highest, take the highest degree terms on the numerator and denominator outside. So it is limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n. So note that this minus 1 raised to n is nothing but 1 when n is even and minus 1 when n is odd. So the sequence is, the limit, so what you get is limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n is 1 when n is even and minus 1 when n is odd. That means if it converges, that it converges to 1 if you go through the even integers, and to minus 1 if you go through the odd integers. This is not this cannot be happened, because if a sequence converges, this sequence converges to exactly one limit. So there cannot be more than one limit. So it cannot go to two different real numbers. Therefore, the limit does not exist, or which means the sequence does not converge, or the sequence diverges. Another example proves that limit n tends to infinity 1 over n is equal to 0 using the epsilon n definition. So let us see what the epsilon n definition is. The epsilon n definition is a real number L is the limit of the sequence an if for any epsilon greater than 0, you need to find out a natural number n such that modulus of an minus L less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to n. So here an equal to 1 by n and L is equal to 0. So let epsilon greater than 0 be arbitrarily given. So what we do is, we will begin with modulus of an minus L less than epsilon, and we will try to find out some natural number capital N. So modulus of an minus L less than epsilon implies modulus of 1 by n minus 0 less than epsilon, which means n is greater than 1 by epsilon. So if you go back from n greater than 1 by epsilon, this means if n is greater than 1 by epsilon, so let us see, we are going the other way. If n is greater than 1 by epsilon, then that means epsilon is greater than 1 by n. That means modulus of 1 by n minus 0 is less than epsilon, which means modulus of an minus L is less than epsilon. So if you choose n as some natural number greater than 1 over 1 by epsilon, then modulus of 1 by n minus 0 is less than epsilon. Therefore, choosing capital N greater than or equal to 1 by epsilon, then for every n greater than capital N, we have modulus of 1 by n minus 0 less than epsilon for all n greater than capital N. Thus, limit n tends to infinity, 1 by n is equal to 0. We may also use some other techniques like Hobbidal's rule to evaluate limits. So let us discuss certain examples. First one is limit n tends to infinity n square plus 1 divided by 3n square plus n. So here what we do is, either you can infinity by infinity form, either you can use Hobbidal rule, or take the highest degree terms on the numerator as well as on the denominator. That is here, that is what we have done here. So taking n square outside on numerator and denominator, n square into 1 plus 1 by n square divided by n square into 3 plus 3 by n by n square. So you'll get limit n tends to infinity 1 plus 1 by n square divided by 3 plus 1 by n. So 1 by 3. The second one also is done like that. And the third one is evaluate limit n tends to infinity nth root of n. So nth root of n is n raised to 1 by n. As n tends to infinity, it is of the form infinity raised to 0. So we will apply Hobbidal rule after taking the logarithm on both sides of some function. So what we do is, let us assume f of x is equal to x raised to 1 by n, or you may assume f of n is equal to n raised to 1 by n. So, but we will choose some continuous functions. So f of x is equal to x raised to 1 by x, taking log on both sides. Log f of x is equal to 1 by x into log x. So limit x tending to infinity, log f of x is equal to limit x tending to infinity 1 by x into log x, or that is equal to limit x tending to infinity log x by x. And as x tending to infinity, log x tends to infinity, so it takes the form infinity by infinity. And by Hovedal rule, derivative of log x is 1 by x, and derivative of x is 1 with respect to x, of course. Therefore that is equal to limit x tending to infinity 1 by x divided by 1, and that is equal to 0. That is limit x tending to infinity log f of x is equal to 0. Therefore limit x tending to infinity f of x is equal to e raised to 0, which is equal to 1. That means limit n tends to infinity, nth root of n is equal to 1. This we have already discussed in your previous semester, so please go through that. Then limits of certain powers. Limit n tends to infinity, r power n is equal to infinity if r greater than 1, 1 if r is equal to 1, and 0 if 0 less than or equal to r less than 1. So if r is a real number greater than or equal to 0, that means if r is a non-negative real number, then r power n can be, if you choose the limit r raised to n, then it can be either infinity or 1 or 0 depending on where r lies. If r is greater than 1, it diverges. If r is 1, it converges to 1. And if r is between 0 and 1, then it converges to 0. Example, evaluate limit n tends to infinity 3 raised to n. So r equal to 3 here greater than 1, therefore it diverges. And second one, limit n tends to infinity e raised to minus n. So an is, or r is equal to 1 by e. E raised to minus n is 1 by e raised to n, that is equal to 1 by e whole raised to n. So r is equal to 1 by e, and e lies between 2 and 3, therefore 1 by e is less than 1. Hence the limit is equal to 0. And as the last example, limit n tends to infinity e plus 2 by 3 raised to n, the whole raised to 4. So e is independent of n, therefore that is equal to limit n tends to infinity, e will be e itself, so it is equal to e plus limit n tends to infinity 2 by 3 raised to n, the whole raised to 4. And 2 by 3 is less than 1, therefore the limit is 0. So e plus 0 whole raised to 4, which is e raised to 4. Then another part is comparison test. So what we do is, given a sequence, we will find out another sequence whose limit can be compared with the limit of the given sequence. So exactly saying, if limit n tends to infinity an is equal to 0 and modulus of bn is less than or equal to an, the limit n tends to infinity bn is equal to 0. So what we do is, given a sequence bn, we will find out a sequence an which converges to 0, as well as modulus of bn is less than or equal to an. Then limit bn also will converge to 0. Let us see how this is done. Example, limit n tends to infinity sin n by n. And we know that sin n is less than or equal to 1. Mod sin n is less than or equal to 1. Therefore, modulus of sin n by n is less than or equal to 1 by n. And we know that limit n tends to infinity 1 by n is 0. Therefore, by comparison test, limit n tends to infinity sin n by n is equal to 0. Second one, limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n plus 1 divided by n. So splitting, this is minus 1 raised to n by n plus n by n. So minus 1 raised to n by n plus 1. Now limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n plus n divided by n is equal to limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n by n plus 1, because 1 is independent of n. And let us see what is limit n tends to infinity minus 1 raised to n divided by n. We have already seen in the previous problem that it is equal to 0. Here we have proved it. 1 by n is 0, and before that we have concluded it is 0, say where in example 1. So here Let us see what modulus of 1 minus 1 raised to n by n is. It is less than or equal to 1 by n, and we know that 1 by n tends to 0. We have proved it by epsilon n definition. Therefore, limit n tends to infinity, minus 1 raised to n by n is equal to 0 by comparison test. Therefore, the given sequence converges to 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. Now, we are ready to discuss what the Newton's method to approximate the roots of an equation. Suppose that f is differentiable and that f dash is continuous. So given a function f of x is equal to 0, given an equation f of x is equal to 0, we have to assume that, or it must be differentiable and has a continuous derivative. To find the root of the equation f of x equal to 0, we start with a guess x naught which is reasonably close to a root. Then produce the sequence x0, x1, x2, etc. by the iterative formula xn plus 1 is equal to xn minus f of xn divided by f dash of xn. Then if limit n tends to infinity xn is equal to x bar, then f of x bar is equal to 0. Rather, f of x bar is approximately equal to 0. This will be the better statement, because sometimes we cannot exactly find out what x bar is. Okay, because we will see certain examples. We may be able to locate in between which two real numbers it lies, but we may not be able to exactly say this is the root. But we can approximate always. So what we do is, given a differentiable function which has a continuous derivative, then we will see by the iterative formula xn plus 1 is equal to xn minus f of xn divided by f dash of xn. We will construct a sequence by guessing an x naught which is reasonably close to a root. So note that the x naught, the point x naught must be reasonably close to a root. That is one of the important points to be remembered. Otherwise, we will see what happens. First example, use Newton's method to find the first few approximations to a solution of x square equal to 4, taking x naught equal to 1. So, given x square equal to 4, so we know that the roots are minus 2 and 2. Okay, x naught equal to 1 is given, so we will conclude that it must be 2, because reasonably close to 1 it is 2, not minus 2. So the equation to be considered is f of x is equal to 0. Given x square equal to 4, so f of x is x square minus 4. So f of x equal to 0 implies x square minus 4 is equal to 0. So let f of x equal to x square minus 4. Then f dash of x is 2x. Define xn plus 1 is equal to xn minus f of xn divided by f dash of xn. That is equal to xn minus f of x is x square minus 4. Therefore, f of xn is equal to xn square minus 4. And f dash of x is 2x. Therefore, f dash of xn is 2xn. Therefore, xn plus 1 is xn minus xn square minus 4 by 2xn. And by simplifying, it is 1 by 2 into xn plus 4 by xn. So given x naught equal to 1, then x1 is equal to 1 by 2 into x naught plus 4 by x naught. That's equal to 2.5. x2 is equal to 1 by 2 into x1 plus 4 by x1. That's equal to 2.05. Continuing like this, x5 equal to 0, x6 is equal to, x5 equal to 2, x6 is equal to 2, and so on. So you can see that remaining every term of the sequence is 2. So 2 is a positive root of x square equal to 4, and we know that it is the only positive root of f of x is equal to x square minus 4. Now another example, using Newton's method, locate a root of x raised to 5 minus x raised to 4 minus x plus 2 equal to 0. So let us choose f of x is equal to x raised to 5 minus x raised to 4 minus x plus 2. F dash of x is 5x raised to 4 minus 4x cube minus 1. So define xn plus 1 is xn minus f of xn divided by f dash of xn. And we will get it as xn raised to 4 into 4xn minus 3 minus 2 divided by xn cube into 5xn minus 4 minus 1. Choosing x naught equal to minus 2. So let us see what happens or why we have chosen x naught equal to minus 2. That I will discuss later. So you can see that x7 is minus 1.1021728080 and f of x7 is minus 0.000000 etc. 0,03. That means this f of x7 is reasonably close to 0. So we can say that this root of f of x is equal to 0 is approximately close to but minus 1.10217220 etc. Okay, now we have to locate the root. Okay, so here I have written like this. This is approximately equal to minus 1.1021722080. To locate the root, so this f of x7 is less than 0. Okay, now let me consider say x8 as the real number, say minus 1.10217220 instead of 8. If I choose 7, then f of x8 is greater than 0. That means f of x7 is less than 0 and f of x8 is x8 is greater than 0. Okay, that means it between x7 and x8 the sign of f of x changes. Therefore, by intermediate value theorem, there is a root between x7 and x8. So by if the question is to locate, the root is lying between x7 and x8 and it is approximately close to x7 or x8, doesn't matter. Okay, now let us see what happens if I started with something else other than x naught equal to minus 2. So here is one example. If I started with x naught equal to 1, then the denominator becomes undefined. Therefore, we cannot begin with x naught equal to 1. So starting with x naught equal to 2, then it goes wildly. That is at x5 it is 169 point etc. and it goes further. So here the graph of the function is given. So you can see that as we move ahead through the positive real axis, then the function increases and goes to infinity. That means again, if I have x5, f of x5 itself is 169 point something and f of x5 is farther higher than that. So if I start with x naught equal to 2, then I will end up nowhere. So that is one of the, see here it is mentioned, that is one of the issues of the Newton's method. Newton's method does not always work. So the question is, how do you identify a point which is reasonably close to a 0? That's the question. Okay, that we will do like this. Say here f of x is given. So let me find out. Let me do like this. I will randomly give some integer values to x naught and see what f of x naught is. Say f of 0. F of 0 here is f of x is f of x is x raised to 5 minus x raised to 4 minus x plus 2. So f of x is, f of 0 is 2. F of 1, again 1 minus 1 minus 1 plus 2. So 1 again you will get 1. f of 2, this is greater than 0, this is greater than 0, greater than 0, this is greater than 0. Again f of 2 is 2 raised to 5 minus 2 raised to 4 minus 2 plus 2. This is again greater than 0. So let me find out what f of minus 1 is. F of minus 1 is minus 1 raised to 5 minus 1 raised to 4. So minus 1 plus 1, so plus 2. So again greater than 0. But f of minus 2 will be less than 0. Okay, so what I have identified is, if I choose a number between minus 1 and minus 2 or minus 2 and minus 1 by intermediate value theorem, there is a root between minus 2 and minus 1. Okay, that is why I choose minus 2 as x naught. If you choose x naught equal to minus 1 also, that will not affect much. Okay, this is how we try to find out a point x naught, or begin with an x naught, which is the first term of the sequence. As another example, given f of x is equal to sin x minus x by 2. Okay, choosing x naught equal to 0, then all the terms are 0, so we cannot end up with a positive root of f of x equal to 0. So here randomly you have chosen x naught equal to 6, then we will end up nowhere, because the graph is given like this. Okay, now we will have another better try. X naught equal to 3, then we have a solution. X8, f of x8 is 1.1 into 10 raised to minus 11. So f of x8 is approximately close to 0. So here again we choose this x naught randomly like this, not randomly. So f of x naught, I mean we have to choose only positive roots. So f of 0 is 0, no doubt. So we will find out f of 1. So that is equal to sin 1 minus 1 by 2. So we will see what its sign is. F of 2. Okay. Again f of 3. You may also, if all are positive or negative, if these two are of the same sign, then we have to find out f of 4. If these two are of opposite signs, then we need not find out f of 4. That is how we choose an x naught. Okay.